So my question for today is water always in the air? We are going to investigate using one of my favorite things. We're not going to use this cup, but we're going to investigate the water cycle using a cup of hot coffee, a mug, and a whiteboard that we can reflect it against. Let's go ahead and check it out. We are going to be investigating the water cycle. What we have in this mug is I have a very hot liquid, and so I'm going to go ahead and take off the lid, and I want you to watch carefully what happens, what comes out of the mug. So if you can see, look very closely right in here, you can see the water vapor coming off of this hot cup of coffee. And then if you notice around the edges, there is water that has condensed. And also on the top of the lid, there's water that is condensed. So as you can see now, some of the water has pooled together. It's gotten heavy, and it's now, when it gets heavy enough, it drips back into the coffee cup. So again, we have the steam, the water vapor that comes up. It gets trapped on the top of this lid, and we have it condensing. This lid is acting like a cloud. It's collecting the water. And then as the water gets together and it pools together, it is like what happens when the clouds get too heavy and it starts to rain. So there you have it. There is a quick look at the water cycle by using a cup of coffee. All right, so let's go back to our slides for air and weather. We're going to go ahead and look at a couple of graphics really quick to talk about the water cycle. So the first step, so the fog that we saw in our container, it was actually called water vapor. This happens on all over the world, all over the earth, and this happens when the water is heated by the sun and some of the earth's water evaporates into the air as vapor. Ice and snow evaporate into vapor when they melt. All right, next slide. The next step we have that we're going to be looking at is condensation. So next condensation occurs. I'm going to go ahead and actually move me up to the top corner. There we go. Okay. So the next step that occurs is condensation. The process of condensation occurs when the warm water vapor enters the air and it cools. This happened when it rose, and it says plastic wrap, but when it actually hit the top of the plastic lid, that was cold, and then water droplets began to form on the bottom of the plastic lid. When the water vapor cools, then it changes back into liquid. It remains unseen, suspended in the air, or it combines with dust, salt, or smoke into the air. And sorry, some of that got cut off on the edge there. All right, the next step that we're going to look at with water cycle. This is one we're pretty familiar with, precipitation, especially on a day where you want to go outside and play, but you can't because it's raining out. Or maybe you feel brave and you go play outside in a nice little drizzle anyways. Not a thunderstorm, just drizzle. So that step number 3 is precipitation. So as the clouds condense, as the condensed water accumulates in the clouds, it becomes too heavy to remain in the air. So just like our water droplets got too heavy and then dripped back into our coffee mug, precipitation occurs when the heavy water leaves the cloud and then falls to the earth as rain, snow, hail, or sleet. And then the fourth step is the bottom part that we had on our Ziploc bags from a few days ago, is the collection, the runoff. So finally, the water that we found inside our coffee mugs inside, what it falls back is called a collection. The water that falls back to the earth collects in the planet's waters, lakes, rivers, oceans, and streams when it falls directly into them or it flows into the soil from the water. So the falling water that remains on the soil gets absorbed into the earth's groundwater. So there you can see the graphic there. All right, so my question is water always in the air? Yes, water is always in the air. Is water always in the air? You better be nodding your head and saying yes, because it absolutely is. Water is always in the air.